2019. Aladdin 2019 is the latest Disney live-action remake of the 1992 animated film of the same name, directed by Guy Ritchie. Plot of this film, it's pretty much the same story as the 1992 film. There is a street rat named Aladdin. He meets and falls in love with Princess Jasmine. There's an evil sorcerer named Jafar who asks Aladdin to go into the Cave of Wonders to bring him the lamp. When he goes inside the Cave of Wonders and finds the lamp, he rubs it, out comes a genie, played by Will Smith. He can only grant him 3 wishes, and one of the wishes, he becomes a prince, and it's pretty much the same story as the animated film. Now, the original animated Aladdin film is one of my favorite Disney movies. I absolutely love this movie. I love the 2D animation, the humor, the energy, the memorable characters, and of course, Robin Williams' iconic vocal performance as the genie. So when I heard Disney was going to do a live-action remake of Aladdin, wasn't really excited for that much. It doesn't really need a remake, just why? And the trailers for this movie came out and they looked alright. They really weren't getting me that excited for this remake. My expectations for this movie were in the middle, and I finally had my chance to see this movie since I've been busy for the past few days and doing some catching up on some new releases. And I finally saw this movie, and there were 3 ways that this film could have gone. This film could have gone really bad to okay to actually good and entertaining. I would say my thoughts on this Aladdin remake, it would be between the latter of those two. It's fine. It's decent. It was better than I was expecting, but not bad. I did find some enjoyment in this movie. Not great, nor as good as the animated film, but as it is, I didn't think it was that bad. I thought it was a decent remake. First, on my positives, there are some good performances from the cast. I definitely think the actors who they got for Aladdin and Jasmine, they definitely picked the right choices for this movie. For the actor playing Aladdin, Mina Masood, I don't think I've ever seen him in anything before. Now seeing him in this movie, I thought he did a good job as Aladdin, and I hope he has a bright future in Hollywood. He definitely nails the charisma, likability of Aladdin. I definitely bought him as Aladdin. And I also thought his singing voice was pretty good too. Same for Naomi Scott as Jasmine, who also did a really good job. And I gotta say, my favorite performance in this movie. And she has a great singing voice in this movie. And not only do I hope she continues her talent in Hollywood, I also hope she continues her talent in singing, because she has a really good singing voice in this movie. And now to the performance that I was worried about, and that a lot of people were before seeing this movie. Will Smith as the genie. Now let's face it, you can't top Robin Williams or even come close, because Robin Williams as the genie, such a tough act to follow. Even Will Smith himself knew that, and I saw an interview with him on the Jimmy Fallon show, and he even said he did not want to take on the role at first because even he knows that Robin Williams is irreplaceable. But he said he talked to the director about it, and I guess that's what probably made him take on the role. And I gotta say, now that I've seen Will Smith's portrayal as the genie, I gotta say, I liked him as the genie. My favorite part about Will Smith as the genie, he's definitely making this role his own. He's not trying to copy Robin Williams. He's definitely making this role his own, not trying to copy Robin Williams too much, which I liked. He did bring his own humor, charm, and energy to the role. And Will Smith, he just lives and breathes charisma. He is one of the most charismatic actors out there. And while his singing voice isn't the greatest, I thought he did a good job singing in this movie too. And something that I surprisingly liked about this movie, for Guy Ritchie, I like that he's trying to do his own story of Aladdin, making this version of Aladdin stand on its own. This is not a shot-for-shot remake of the 1992 film. It's adding in some new details like characters who are not in the original animated film, and I forgot to mention a new character that I enjoyed was this new friend of Jasmine. I liked her, she was funny. And also there was a new song that wasn't in the animated film. I do like that Guy Ritchie is at least trying to do his own story, not try to copy the animated film too much and trying to make this one stand on its own. As for Guy Ritchie's directing in this movie, this is such a nice looking movie. The production design is excellent. I saw a featurette of this movie. I was surprised to learn that they actually shot this movie on location at Jordan, which really surprised me. This is a really nice looking movie. excellent production design, and some fantastic costume design, I could see this film getting an Oscar nomination for Best Costume Design. And also being a very colorful movie too. This is such a nice looking movie. Very well directed movie. And there are some entertaining musical numbers in this movie. And I also like that this film brought back Alan Menken to do the music for this movie. I thought that was awesome. My favorite musical number in this movie was Friend Like Me. I thought it was visually entertaining. Really enjoyed that scene. And I also think the choreography and the dance scenes were all terrific. I like Jasmine's song in this movie, Speechless, and that song was not in the animated film, and I liked it. I thought it was a nice new song in this movie. Naomi Scott did a great job singing. I like that new song. Sadly, I do have some flaws with this movie. I will get to those right now. First on my negatives, Jafar in this movie, I don't think it was the actor's fault, but I found him very miscast in this movie. Now, Jafar in the animated film was sinister, he was menacing and intimidating. He is one of the greatest Disney villains ever. And Jafar was scary in the animated film. Jafar in this film, not. He was not menacing or intimidating. He was monotone. I didn't really buy this guy as Jafar. I found him very miscast. Also, the Sultan, Jasmine's father, in this movie, I thought he was a boring character in this movie. Now, the Sultan in the animated film was a bit goofy, but he was still likable, he was supportive of Jasmine, and I really liked him. Here, he just doesn't really have a lot of personality, and I just thought he was boring. Iago was pretty underused in this movie. He was not as funny as in the animated film. And one of my issues with this movie was, at the beginning, got off to a rough start. It felt like at the beginning of this movie, they just skimmed details that were important in the animated film, making it very rushed. And then it slows down for a bit, but luckily it starts to pick up once Will Smith as the genie gets introduced, and I felt like that's where the film starts to pick up and become a little more entertaining. I felt like Guy Ritchie could have used more of his energy style into some of the musical numbers in this movie, because I know Guy Ritchie is definitely an energetic director, and I was interested to see what he would do with Aladdin. But for some of the musical numbers, I felt like they could have been just more energetic to maybe make him more entertaining. Examples being One Jump Ahead and Prince Ali. I don't think they were quite as energetic as they could have been. While the effects are good for the most part, there are a few iffy looking effects here and there that didn't quite look so good, especially in the third act. That's where I felt the effects didn't quite look as good. And I gotta admit, the CGI on Will Smith as the genie looks much better than it was in the trailers, although maybe a few parts that did take me out, like a few parts of his face. And there were a few distracting parts when it came to the face. It felt like they photoshopped Will Smith's face on it, and some of that looked a bit iffy. And also, one more thing. At the end credits of this movie, DJ Khaled. Really? But overall, Aladdin 2019, better than I was expecting. It's not great, nor as good as the animated film, but as a live-action remake and on its own, I didn't think it was that bad. Masood, Scott, and Smith did a good job. It's a nice looking movie, it has its entertaining moments, there were some good musical numbers, and even with its flaws, I still had a decent time with Aladdin 2019. And I gotta say, I do think it's better than Alice in Wonderland, Beauty and the Beast, Dumbo. I do think it's better than those movies, and not a bad year for Disney live-action remakes. And next month we got one I am very curious about since it's my favorite animated movie of all time. Please be good, please be good, please be good, just please be good. But we'll see how that turns out in July. And if you haven't seen this movie, well, this movie came out like 3 or 4 weeks, and if you haven't seen this movie and if you feel like giving it a chance, sure, go watch it. If you're not interested and you don't feel like giving this movie a chance, you can skip it if you want. Also, if you didn't like this movie or thought it was okay, that's fine. I respect your opinion. But I would say if you haven't seen this movie yet and if you feel like giving it a chance, hoping to enjoy it, sure, go out and watch it if you feel like it. Overall, I am going to give Aladdin 2019 3 stars out of 5. Not a bad remake, and I enjoyed this movie more than I thought I would since my expectations were in the middle. Better than I thought it would be. So what do you guys think of Aladdin 2019? Do you agree? Disagree with me? Let me know below. Make sure to like this video, leave a comment, and subscribe if you're new here. It really means a lot. I'm Jack Benner, and look forward to another movie review.